Chemical pollutants in water. Our group topic is chemical pollutants in water, and we agreed on metals as the pollutant. This case study is the Brunswick estuary situated in the Byron Bay Shire in the north coast of New South Wales. It has a population of 1,737. Briefly, the main arm which runs from the east to the west reaching Brunswick River and Kings Creek. There is another arm, a north arm that runs into Marshall Creek, and a south arm that runs into Simpsons Creek. The entrance of the estuary also facilitates small vessels. Water New South Wales will be interested in this area, and this has been prepared for them using the health impact assessment, part of the World Health Organization guidelines. This estuary supports a significant number of services and needs for both nature and humans. I've chosen this case study due to its rapid declining ecosystem. Once comprising of nearly 75,000 hectares of rainforest, it is now only 700 hectares. That's less than 1% of its original size. This has resulted in the declining ecosystem habitats like salt marshes, mangroves, littoral rainforests, swamp oak forest, and it has threatened several flora and fauna species. As mentioned earlier, the health impact assessment using the World Health Organization framework has been used, but only part of it, mainly scoping, appraisal, and reporting. 3 parts of the health impact assessment from the World Health Organization framework has been used here, namely scoping, appraisal, and reporting. Scoping identified issues like damage to the fragile ecosystem, high density and rural population, catchment areas being cleared for agriculture, mainly cane and dairy farming. Destruction of rainforests affects the diversity of both humans and animals alike. Multiple sewage treatment plants along the shoreline that has known to discharge into the estuary, especially during and after floods. A popular recreational area that affects holidaymakers, anglers, and commercial vessels service for oyster farming. The health issues and public concerns identified were aquatic ecosystems are compromised and are exposed to possible extinction. The consumption of fish, crabs, and oysters will have decreased nutrient value due to the toxicity in them, a major risk to humans. Impact on reconstruction and alterations to the banks of the estuary may affect climate change, polluted waste from agriculture and industrial sources, additional toxic chemicals like hydrocarbons from jet skis and boats, overexploitation of the resources in the estuary like biological resources from freshwater systems, all of the above leading to the food chain being contaminated. It was identified that we need to take accountability and act now. A good place to start, for example, would be stakeholders need to be active participants, voluntary and not forced. They have an interest in their investment. Extent of the involvement, when determined, will be the clue to the success of any program. Local businesses to be targeted to receive feedback as well as keeping them accountable. Schools and other educational institutions participating with studies, reviews, testings, reporting and findings. And authorities from Byron Bay Council, Environment Protection Agencies, Fisheries and Marine, and recreational authorities, and of course the local ministerial office are all important to make this work. The next part of the health impact assessment was appraisal. The health determinants identified due to metal pollutants in the estuary were poor water quality impact fishing, swimming and flooding, overpopulation near the water's edge for businesses and recreational purposes, had excess rubbish and effluent attracting disease, erosion with unsafe protection for humans like mudslides, slips and falls into the water, contaminated water used for farming and swimming, potential metal pollutants in the water causing serious medical issues including vomiting, nausea and diarrhea, increased risk in high blood pressure and kidney damage, and may have toxic effect on organs, especially through the consumption of fish. Reviewing some of the issues, Integrating part of the Strategic Environment Assessment, or SEA for short, may be of benefit here. For instance, collecting data like regular testing the water for sampling to identify metal pollutants, monitoring changes in levels after events like bushfires and floods, identify new deposits and where they originate from, monitor new industrial and agricultural areas and ensure sustainability, minimize the number of locations with human interaction in areas that needs rejuvenating in order to protect the ecosystem. Observation and reporting would also benefit here. Observing and reporting stream flows, reduction in the quantity of usually populated fish areas, rapid erosion, and vegetation near the water's edge dying. Some of the alternatives identified will require local government authorities working together, and there could be an impact, like more garbage collections with separate bins, waste recycling in green at no extra cost, areas for visitors to be away from the waterline, and adequate sanitary and waste disposal facilities, subsidies and tax benefits for businesses who practice, advertise and follow eco-friendly options. Example, the green business tax breaks. Limit the number of boats and petrol vessels on the waterways, and to build adequate paths, dams for water overflow during storms and floods to contain runoff water and contamination. The third part of the assessment was reporting. Quantitative and qualitative methods should be used to halt further loss of this beautiful aquatic ecosystem. While this area is fast becoming a popular recreational and tourist destination, the time to implement measures to protect the estuary and surrounds is vital. Postponement of intervention now leaves the area open for irreversible degradation. The health impact assessment guidelines need to be adhered to, namely inform positive impacts, mitigate negative impacts, focus on health benefits, ensure public participation and voice, monitor and measure more frequently. It is important to include, listen and mitigate the negativity that could possibly come from the industrial and agricultural sectors. They are also important to the local economy. Maybe tax benefits would be a positive for them here to get them on side. In conclusion, a risk assessment approach and the precautionary approach are needed to stall the degradation at this current rate. Arguably, this is the result of lengthy neglect. However, we need to act now to save the aquatic ecosystem and to have an impact on the health determinants. If we do not, we will have more contamination of our waterways that can flow down to other rivers and into the ocean. Contamination of the food we eat will be imminent, resulting in health conditions for generations to follow. Lastly, and not the least, there will be further loss of our rare aquatic ecosystem. The Banjalong Arakwal people, the traditional owners of this area, have lived here for thousands of years prior to the first recorded European settlements in 1849. Due to its location, many ships used to come here, and it quickly became a seaport. With the abundance of trees in the forest, timber was readily available and the two industries grew. Not surprisingly, 250 years later, we have lost over 70,000 hectares of rainforest, a source of our survival, the air we breathe, habitat for our animals, prevention of erosion and climate change. Having lived in this beautiful area long before the European settlement, their knowledge is vital. It is prudent that we join forces and learn and include them in the process. An ideal place to start will be ways to eradicate the chemical pollutants in the Brunswick estuary.